That's what I want to hear. All right. Good morning, everybody. Wednesday, March 25th. Welcome to another Watercooler Wednesday. Got some more great information coming your way. Joined as always by Dwayne Gibbs. Dwayne, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Kevin. How's it going?
Good, good, good. I know, by the way, everybody, Dwayne's working on a lot of social media things, so we might have some specials coming out and all kinds of stuff that he's working on in the background there. Anything you can share with us at this point or what you're putting together?
Yeah, so we have been able to break down a lot of videos that you have done with massive content, and we're shortening those down to where they're going to be good information that we can pass out to people so they don't have to typically listen to everything that you have, but really the hot spots. So
Mhm.
it's going to get right to the point on some things. So that's going to help gain some clarity for people. And then also some new training I'm trying to put together that I think is going to be very valuable to where people, it's going to be more of a panel of asking you questions, what people should know, what they don't know about a deal. And so you and I are going to kind of go back and forth like a interview style. I'm going to ask you questions of things that I hear, and I think that's going to help prompt a lot. And just some other things coming out. So, uh,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, just more content coming your way, everybody. And you know what? More content raises the awareness of the business. It lowers people's well, let's just face it, a lot of people don't know about this business or know enough about it to get involved in it, where really it should be a part of everybody's portfolio. It's its own entity, investment entity these days. There's stocks, bonds, mutual funds, there's real estate, and there's real estate notes, and that should be a part of everybody. But the problem is there's still a lot of just unknown about it. So the more that we can bring content to you that is in a fashion that you can understand, that you can process, the more likely you are to get involved. And involved not only in investing in yourself, but what you're going to find is that there is constantly new things coming out. All these deals, a lot of these deals are created by individuals, and you have to go through them. So you will need some help no matter how much content is out there, believe it or not. In fact, Dwayne, yesterday I had a client who was a client from the past, and then they had to take a little break with family situations and things like that, and they came back after a couple of years and are jumping back in, and we're talking to him. He's like, "Hey, do you have a list, of due diligence out when I'm looking at these deals?" Everybody knows the due diligence the best, right? So do you have a list that I can just go through? And I said, you're not the first one to ask that. You're not the first one really to have that thought because you and I have even talked about that. But the problem
yeah.
is, once you start to build that list, it just becomes so
A
large
never
because,
ending, a
yeah, it
never
turns
ending
into
list.
if this, then that, if that, then this. And I mean, it just keeps going on and on. And ironically enough, the client and I, he's in the mentorship level program, and as we're going through, I started picking out just some examples, and then we picked a random example. I said, yet again, here you go. So this one doesn't have that, so we have to do this, and we have to, it's how do you incorporate that all into one checklist? And the answer is the list would actually probably work against you because you'd be trying to go down a very static thing and then just having to start to deviate off and go, well, wait a minute, should I do this? Should I not do this? Certainly, there are certain things you ask for, but I would think with enough knowledge and content, you would know, okay, I'm buying a mortgage. So that means I need to ask for what? A mortgage, a note, assignment, allonges, a payment history, proof of insurance. I mean, there's certainly some things that should be remote for you, simply by by heart, just by memory, because you've practiced enough. When you practice enough and you do repetition, everybody, some of these things become pretty simple. But it's when you encounter certain things that your brain needs to pick up on, positive or negative, because all of these deals have things working towards the value and things working against the value. And as you go through and you start assessing something, that's really what you're doing. You're appraising a note when you're reviewing a note. You're trying to figure out what's right with it, what's wrong with it, and is it within my risk tolerance? Is it within my return expectations? All of these things play a role. Numbers and story, you hear me talk about all the time. That plays a role of it. So I had a case study I went through the other day, and within short order of receiving the documents, I was able to determine on a deal one way or another that I was going to go. I'll leave it a little bit of a mystery right now. We'll go through it together, but I want to kind of unveil some of the thought process that I have as I start to look through these. And I think you'll also kind of learn this is why you can't really have a static list of just things to look at. And this will be new for Dwayne too. I just was putting this together this morning, based on research I did a day or two ago, maybe several days ago. All right, so let me go ahead and share the screen here, and we'll go full screen on this one. And I did my best to redact everything here, so that was unnecessary. Okay, so part of the story, right? Tell us about the deal. So what I was looking at was a seller finance note secured by duplex, okay, with strong rent potential. Now, I like duplexes, as a collateral, because many times the monthly payment on the loan, what we call the debt service, could be supported even if there's one side unoccupied, right? So as long as they got half of it rented out, they should have enough money to cover the debt service, which is their payment to me. So starting right away with a positive type of collateral versus something like a vacant land where there's no income source coming from it. All right. Borrower is relatively new, but has demonstrated solid reliability so far. Payments have been made on time each month, and the borrower has been income verified at just under 10 times the monthly payment. So they did some qualification of the borrower here, providing a strong ability to service the debt. The borrower is also an investor and understands responsibilities associated with owning a rental property. The property is also insured. Okay, great. I want to see proof of that. And the borrower has also begun making improvements, indicating commitment to the asset. So right away, I know this is a type of loan where, wait a minute, this property is not fixed up yet. This is under renovation. So I am taking on more risk because of what? Potential injuries on the property, work not getting done, cost overruns, vacancies lasting longer than expected. So I'm almost really stepping in as a hard money lender. I mean, that's what I'm looking at now. From a collateral standpoint, the property is a duplex with an estimated market rents of $1,500 per month. This provides strong coverage relative to the loan, easily satisfying the 1% rule. 1% rule is a debt service coverage ratio, which is good. From an investment perspective, 45,000, which is what they're asking for the note, will result in approximately $303,000 over the life of the loan, and that's just nothing wrong with putting that number. It sells it a little bit, but yes, it does if it's paid out on time, all that sort of stuff. Okay. Overall, this is a performing note with a motivated borrower, improving collateral and strong rental fundamentals. Additional documentation and details upon request. Okay, so we have a basic story, and I like that. So I congratulate the seller for telling about the background. Tell us a story. Tell us what's going on versus just static numbers. But as I always say, it's story and numbers. So here's the numbers. First position, and it is a contract for deed. A contract for deed means that the lender and subsequently the note owner, if someone were to buy this note, if I were to buy this note, would stay on the actual deed to the property until paid in full. Now, that's great as far as taking the property back, if the state allows you to do the eviction process, by the way. Not all states do. But the double-edged sword here is liability, because you, as a note owner, are on the deed. And if somebody gets hurt on that property that is under renovation, who are they going to sue? Whose insurance companies are they coming after? Right? So you better make sure that you've got hazard, liability. I would insist on a builder's risk policy on there. I would absolutely have the borrower pay for that and see proof that they have that in place. I want them hiring contractors for contractor work, handyman only for handyman work, because permits have to get pulled, because you're on the line here. You see, when you're doing a loan like this, and you're on the deed and it's under renovation, you're basically a partner with this borrower. Okay. That's how you should look at it. So any liability they have, you're sharing. Any work, any delay, anything like that, that becomes a problem for you. Yeah, you can get the property back quicker, but the borrower might just say, well, take it back. I don't care. It's half renovated. I can't get the permits for this. Now it's your problem. Congratulations. Okay. Unpaid balance 72.4. They're saying it's a 76% loan to value ratio. Well, right away, that's too high for me. I have a different line in the sand than 76%, but it's negotiable, I figure. Origination date was January 20th. First payment's not due till February. So what are we in March, right? So
March 25th to
yeah.
be
So
exact.
January was when it was created, first payment due in February, second payment due in March. So if I backtrack to the story here, borrowers were relatively new, but then payments have been made on time each month. Okay, great. For 2 months. Super. Not a whole lot of seasoning, not a whole lot of skin in the game because two payments is going to be $1,700. Okay. Moving on. They made this for 162 months or something like that, 10.37%. And it's not being escrowed or anything like that, and got the maturity date and everything else. Okay. So again, couple things like the duplex aspect, like the fact that there's good rent that can come into this. Don't know about the borrower's experience in handling this. Things I'm thinking about would put in my notes. Is the borrower in town or not? Because that makes a difference. Doing a rehab from a different state is a whole different thing than doing a rehab on a property when you're in the state. It just is. I did a lot of rehabs in my day, over 150, and locally. And believe me, we had to oversee those renovation guys all the time, making sure they're showing up, making sure they're working, making sure their Home Depot runs don't take 2 freaking hours, to go get a bag of screws. Dwayne, you've done rehabs, you know what
Oh
I'm
my
talking
goodness,
about
yes.
on that stuff. So imagine doing that from out of state where you're not there, where you're not, moving things. Look, if they've already got a job and they're getting paid on, guess what they're doing? They're looking at other jobs too. That's just the reality of it. Okay. So that's one of the things I would look at here. Now, we'll also notice that the original balance 72, it's dropped a little bit. Not sure why the payoff is different than the unpaid balance, and that's just a matter of days on interest, probably. No big red flag there. But okay, so we've got some negative things working towards this as far as the experience, as far as the debt or the loan to value ratio, which we would call investment to value ratio. If I'm buying this at a discount, I can have a lower valuation than that, so it's not a total turn off. That would push my return up, by the way. But let's go deeper into it. So you have to really start to go through the paperwork, and if a note seller is not going to provide the paperwork to you, you're already done. Okay, you're already finished. We're not going to take a look at all of that paperwork. I just saw something real quick. I'm just going to fix. All right. Just bear with me. I don't do these things to put anybody out of place or make anybody look bad. And that's not my intent to do this. So I'm just going to block out a couple of things here so there's no mistaken about that. Okay, got it. All right, so we'll go back to sharing the screen here. All right. So I'm just verifying the information. So in this case, it's a contract for deed with the note. So I want to look at the note. I want to see the terms of the payback. And sure enough, so they bought the property for $75,000. And the note is 72.5, which tells you in part B, that's a $2,500 down payment.
Mm,
That's a red flag, everybody.
mm,
What do we call that? How much skin in the game, right?
mm,
The guy's got 2,500. The investor, the real estate investor, got himself a great deal. He got this $75,000 property. Who knows what the ARV is? But if it rents for $1,500 a month, you look at ARV, you look at the income stream. He's only $2,500 out of pocket plus 2 months of payments, which I think we said was about 1,700 bucks.
mm.
That's not a whole lot of skin in the game, everybody. Now, one could make the argument, yeah, he's also, working on, paying for renovations and all that. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But how hard is it for him to walk away? That's what you got to think of. Because remember, if he walks away, either forcefully or voluntarily, now it's your project. Now you got to pay the
Yeah.
fines, if they discovered something. Now you've got to pull permits. Now you've got to do all this stuff. You've got all the liability. You've got the mess. And your $72,000, if you paid the UPB, your $72,500 into a $75,000 property. Okay, so their ratio back here of here's what did they say, 40%? I forget what they said. No, loan to value, 76%. Where are they getting that number from? They just sold the property 2 months ago for 75 grand. Guess what it's worth, everybody? 75 grand. It's not worth some inflated number. It's under renovation, so it's not even worth 75 grand right now. That's what they paid for as is, and now they're tearing down walls and everything else. It's worth maybe 75 grand. And you're going to buy this note for 72 because you can make this, or you're going to buy this note for 70 grand so you can make 11, 12%. You're not going to be in this business long. I'll tell you that right now. So nowhere near as much skin in the game. Your investment to value ratio is darn near 100% on something like this. There's no way. No way. Great deal for the real estate investor. Now, smart thinking on the terms of the note creator here, because if they can just create this paper and turn around and immediately sell it 2 months, 3 months after they've created it, they've got all of their money back and 0% liability, zero headaches. You paid 100% of the money and now you have all of the headaches. What are you doing? Okay.
Yeah.
Can't do that. You can't do that. Okay. Now they are paying the servicing fees. But again, if you're just creating paper, just go, hey, here's good paper. Let some sucker who doesn't think they need to do due diligence, just run by and buy this note. I'm out. I'm cashed out. I'm done. Okay. I happen to know,
Well, sorry,
I,
go
I
ahead.
happen to know how much the lender who actually bought this property first. So the lender, current lender, bought this property for cash, turned around and sold it. They bought it for 25,000. I know that because I looked it up. So 25,000, they'll turn around and create a $72,000 note, even if they sold it for 60 grand, home run. And they're out. And you're in and you have all the liability, all the problems. I'm sorry, you were going to say something, Dwayne?
I was just going to say for those that are, well, the guy, like you just were saying, hey, the guy's doing the rehab work himself, and why would he do that? Well, some people do that, and they'll say, hey, I'll do the work on the property if we can lower this, that, and the other. But, again, to go back to your whole point, you know, he doesn't have much skin in the game except sweat equity. Okay, that's all fine and good until he doesn't, want to work on it anymore. And all of a sudden, well, I don't want to work on that anymore. And now it becomes your problem. The question is, are you willing to go out there, strap the tools on, and go finish it out, or want to hire somebody, especially in an area that you don't live in and that you don't know? And we see this all the time where people come back and say, yeah, I really shouldn't have bought this because the numbers didn't work out. And I thought that the guy was going to go ahead and finish it out. And then they don't. And so it's just to solidify your point of, numbers matter. As much as you
Yeah.
don't think, you can't have this be an emotional game or a what if game of, well, he says he's going to do it. And so obviously it's gospel. He's definitely going to do it. And so I'm just trying to stress the importance of the numbers, real numbers, not what they are on paper, but calculated numbers. Are they actually what they say they are, not what they show?
Right, right. And what if labor gets more expensive? What if permits get more expensive? What if the materials get more expensive? This guy will bail, cut his losses, hand it over to you gladly. Here you go. Take it back. I don't care.
That's
No
right.
harm, no foul. Okay. Now here's another thing. I guess why you got to read these contracts, everybody. I'm just telling you. I know you're like, oh, I can't read all this stuff. You got to. Okay. You just have to know where to go. Look at this one. If all payments are made as described on the first day of each month, the term is 360 months. No, it's not. Not according to the loan that you created. You're telling us it's a the original loan, okay, original balance there is 72,500. Okay, I put that in my financial calculator. Payment's $850 a month. The interest rate is 10.3701% for some reason. Put that in there. That equates to 155 months. And they're even showing us there's 154 left. Where's the 360? Okay. Now, some of these contracts are templates, and that's probably what happened. But that's potential. What does
That's
that
what it
mean?
says. Yeah, that's what it says.
What does it
Those are the
mean?
numbers.
I just reviewed another contract yesterday for a guy who was going to do a hard money loan, another client of mine, because I coach this stuff too, the lending as well. And he had two different years of when a balloon happened, one on the note, one on the mortgage. I'm
Mm.
like, you got to fix that, man. You're going to have a conflicting issue here. So anyway, but yeah, so is it 360? Is it the 155? What's going on? Right. And again, they're paying the servicing fee, which I like. All right. Now, the other thing that I saw was, where it's located. And this is again, you can't make a list of this stuff. Sometimes you got to do the research. Okay. In this state where this property is located, by law, the lender must have the recorded agreement for deed, or at least a memorandum, with the county recorder within 10 business days of the closing and before any assignment. That's what the law says. Okay. Now, does the lender know that? I have no idea. Show me proof of that. They did not show me any proof that this agreement for deed was recorded within 10 days. Now, is that problematic? Well, the law continues on. If they don't, or if the recording is defective, the buyer can rescind the entire contract at any time until it is recorded or within 90 days of discovering a title cloud. So is that a problem? It is, especially if you closed on this, only 60 days has gone by. So you close on this, it wasn't recorded on time, and guess what? The borrower now is out rescinding the entire thing. You have no legal recourse. So yeah, it's a problem. Okay. So I would insist if I was buying this, it's got to be closed. It's got to be done this. We have to have some kind of reaffirmation. Otherwise, I'm not going to take on the risk on that. All right, I continue on. I took out now got a little, I was wondering where that was. I was doing a little cut and paste and I lost this one. Let me take that out of there. Um, so I continue to go through that same contract, everybody, just trying to pick out certain things. Okay. The first party borrower, or sorry, first party lender shall not be responsible for any repairs within the property for any condition, whether known or unknown by either party at the time. Second party shall be responsible for any and all repairs and maintenance to the property at second party sole cost and expense. First party will, okay, so that part's great. Okay. So obviously, the initial investor who bought this property on the cheap and then turned around and flipped it by creating a seller finance note, they never saw it. They never did any repairs. They never did anything. And I know that because the initial investor who bought this, they do this all the time. across the country, they never see a single property. They've never been there. They bought it really cheap, 25 grand, turned around, advertised it, sold it for with a small down payment, $75,000 note. Now they want to cash out of the note. Yeah, I'm sure they do. Sure they do. They hold on enough of these notes, they're going to lose. Guarantee you. Here's the other part I don't like though. The first party, if you took over this loan, if you bought this loan, the first party will assist the second party in acquiring permits as needed. Dwayne, you want to assist somebody out of state to get permits?
Do I want to?
Yeah.
Hmm. No.
Good Lord. As needed. How often you think you're going to be needed, everybody? If that clause, if that clause is in there, right? I gotta put new plumbing in. Hey man, I need you. We gotta put new electric in. Hey man, need you. Found some
I
cracks
didn't
in the
want to
wall.
sound
Hey
surprised
man,
when I asked,
need
but
you.
I'm sorry.
Good Lord.
I'm
Good
sorry.
Lord. All right. What else we have in there? This one went 2 pages. That's why the gaps in there different. The borrower agrees to notify the lender or note holder immediately upon first discovering any signs of serious building problems, such as a crack in the foundation, tilting porch, crack in the polyester, buckling sheetrock, blah, 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 leaky roof, leaky water. This investor who bought this property has no idea what's going on in this property.
None.
Never stepped or had anybody step into that place.
None.
That's what that's telling you, everybody. If the second party defaults, the first party shall credit towards the second party's deficiency any amount that the second party spent to repair defects on that property existing before the sale. Wait, what? So if the borrower defaults, the note holder shall credit towards the borrower's deficiency any amount that the borrower spent on repair defects in that property that existed before the sale. Okay. Why were they doing repairs before the sale? I wouldn't allow that to begin with, but
Mm.
okay, I don't like that. Do you know if they've done anything before the sale, everybody? No, you don't. But guess what? You got to credit them for that if they come up with some serious problem.
Yeah.
These responsibilities, and that goes to the second page, these responsibilities do not change regardless of the time the property is owned or occupied by the second party. So they hold that out forever.
Mm-mm-mm.
I'm guessing you guys know which way I went on this loan, on my decision. I kept the mystery for you. All right, item 27, which they did not disclose in the story or the paperwork. The known liens, mortgages, or other title limitations existing on the property if any, are private mortgage. Now, did
Mm.
they write that wrong, or does that mean there's an underlying first mortgage? To be determined, because they didn't show it to me in the paperwork.
Mm.
By the way, that's not a problem. If it's a good note and we buy it, that gets paid off during the transaction, but it should be disclosed, everybody. So don't know. Um, and especially if they're flipping it, well, they're doing two things, everybody. They're flipping a property and they're flipping a note. And they're doing that within 3 months. Do you think everything gets recorded within that period of time? No.
No.
So you would not know that there is an underlying private mortgage because the best you can do, or your title company who's doing a title report can do, is look at public records. What if it's not there yet because of time framing? You won't know that. You won't have recourse to the title company because guess what? It wasn't there when they looked. That's what they're reporting on. So that falls on you. How much is that private mortgage? Okay. What if they don't pay? That mortgage is in first position. All of that in the documentation, everybody. Once I got that documentation, it did not take me long to go boom, 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 boom. I'm out. See you later. Yet most real estate note investors will not take the time to read through the documents. They'll get a title report. That title report would have come back. Everything looks good. First position. Okay. They might have gotten a BPO, that shows, yeah, it's, maybe worth more money than they paid for it. They bought it at a discount. Okay. You would not last long in this business, everybody, if you can't pick apart these details. But again, I haven't seen some of those clauses in contracts. So that's yet another new thing that would have to go on the list. What if you have a contract that says that you have to help somebody pull permits? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I've never even that. Well,
Yeah, right?
you said it enough.
Yeah, I'm going to pay you back if you did some work and then you found some serious stuff. I'll credit that towards you. What?
Yeah.
So again, you can't do that, everybody. And then you've got the problem with the paperwork and everything else. I mean, a lot of times I can come up with solutions on deals like this. On this one, I can't. This is just a total walk away. I couldn't do a partial on this. I couldn't do you collect the next three payments and then I'll buy it. Too much unknown. Now, I took additional step because it's what I do. I know who the buyer is. I know who the seller is because I looked them up. The seller does this on a national basis. They've got a business that does that. And again, I'm not blaming the business at all. They found a niche, which is we'll find these properties really cheap. We'll negotiate, bottom feeders. And I'm not using that in a bad way, but that's what they do. They're finding the cheapest stuff, got the highest value, turn around. How can we sell it quickly? Offer financing. Offer financing on a duplex for $2,800 down. You think that'll sell to somebody? Yeah. Do you think they ultimately, at the end of the day, do you think they care if that person pays back the loan? No, because they've already sold it. It's not their problem. The investor who bought the duplex also lives out of state. They have some other properties, not in the same state. So they do have some experience. But if they run into a big problem that they didn't know about, and it's going to cost overrun, they're going to bail. They're going to go, okay, we're out less than 10,000 bucks, but at least we're not on the hook for all that stuff,
Yeah.
you know, and that's what they'll do. And that's a smart business decision for them as well. Walk away. You're not going to stay in a deal if you know you're going to lose money. So I don't blame even that real estate investor who bought the duplex on the terms for walking, because he's taken a big leap of faith as well. They have no idea. There doesn't appear to be that there was an inspection on this property at all before he purchased. Okay. And you can tell from the property it needs a little work. I didn't show pictures of the property. Uh, I could, but I gotta look it up and Google Map it and stuff. But it didn't look that great. And on top of that, demographics, not great. It's like, yeah, the combination. So again, if you go back to my scale analogy, everybody, very quickly this thing turned to where it's like, no, 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 there's way, 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 way too much working against this deal. But again, the good news is if you get efficient at this, if you're trained properly, you know where to glance through these things, you know what key things to look for, you'll be able to tell within 10 minutes if it's a good deal or not. I go a little further because I'm an instructor. I like to go through these things and really know it, and it sticks in my memory, and then I'll share it with everybody else. But 10 minutes would have told you just that looking at the document that it's not the right way to go. Takes practice,
Yeah.
repetition. It's the mother of skill, as they say, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah. I know you talk about that same concept in personal coaching. People want to make improvements. Guess what? Repetition, 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 right?
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, there's one for the books. Easy pickings. They'll have trouble selling that note. I hope. I hope they do because if somebody jumps in on that one, I don't see that one working out well. But that's why we do what we do, everybody. So again, we'll have a lot of new tips in a different format that Dwayne's been working on. And for those who are still sitting on the sidelines, can I do this? Can I not do this? If you're brand new, could you have dissected this deal like I just did? Probably not. Why? Because again, you haven't had that repetition. You haven't seen that skill set yet, and that's why you want to compress your learning curve. You have really no alternative other than working with an expert. It's really what it comes down to in almost anything. You learn through their eyes. You learn through um, their history. You know, their knowledge base, if you will. So that's what we offer. That's what we do. A couple of different levels. So always reach out to us. You can go to kevinsortel.com. Email us at info at kevinsortel.com, and we'll get back to you on any and all those programs. So if you want to do this business, and more importantly, if you want to do it right, um, this is where you want to go.
I would also say that, you know, I have talked to people where they felt like, wow, I just have a question about, what this really looks like for me, or I'm getting new into the business and there's so many things that I hear out there. What's that look like? Heck, it's, just schedule a call. You can
Yeah.
schedule a call with myself. We can go through of, kind of what you know, what you don't know, and, how we can benefit you and kind of where you're at right now. I mean, how did you get to the point that you're at? What made the decision for you to get into the note business? What is the decision of you being in the note business for a period of time, but nothing's transitioning into creating more income? Obviously, you got into it to create more income and to create generational wealth, and you're not getting where you thought you would be, or looking at it and saying, hey, I've been doing this for 3 years and I hear everybody can make all kinds of money in the note business, but nothing's changing from year to year. Why? And so
Mhm.
schedule a call and let's go through that. Let's, slow it down a little bit and talk about what you're experiencing, what you're not experiencing, and understanding what that next step looks like for you. Maybe we can't help you. Maybe we can't help you at all, but you know, being able to talk to somebody that is comes in just as a middleman of knowing helping to give you a better and clear position and path moving forward. That's something that we do. So that's all free. That's,
Yeah.
you want to schedule a call with myself and talk about where you're at, where you're looking to go, reach out. I'll be glad to spend some time with you.
Yeah, you got it. We even have an entry level video series if you're interested in something like
Well,
that. So
that's
it's
really not
requested,
going to help
you
anybody,
know.
but I mean, that's just the book and tape. Nobody
Yeah,
needs a book and tape. If they're looking to make real change in life, they have to have
yeah,
professional coaching. And so we just need to figure out what that looks like for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next Wednesday. If you have topics, questions, anything like that, shoot us an email, info at kevinshortell.com, and we shall get back to you on that. So thanks again, everybody. Have a good rest of your
Take,
day.